Hi there, this is Craig Hain, and I want to thank you for responding to our advertisement for a mathematics tutor for your student. And first, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Craig Hain. I have a PhD in mathematics from Indiana University, and I have been teaching math for many years, at all levels really, from the 8th grade in shop math all the way through theoretical math in grad school. And I've also taught adults for many years in an industrial training company that we have called LearnMaintenance.com. Now, I have written a book about the teaching of mathematics that will explain to you in great detail everything I believe about how math should be taught today and, in fact, is not being taught, and the reason that your student may or may not be having problems with mathematics. Now, we have a website that discusses this in great detail. It's called triadmathinc.com. And so you can go to that website, and there are many videos there that you can be watching that will discuss this with you. But what I want to do in this video is talk to you about what maybe we can do for you with these tutorials. The first thing that I want to point out to you that is turns out to be chapter 2 of our book is that to be successful in teaching mathematics to a student, there are three things that one must engage in. I call this effective math education triad. That's why we call our company Triad Math. The first and most important thing is the psychology of your student. Many students today have a negative attitude about mathematics that they've developed for one reason or another. It may be a fear of math, it may just be a dislike of math. And there's all sorts of reasons this may have happened, and it's not really their fault. In fact, it's not anyone's fault, really. It's just the way the system is designed today. And what you have to do to overcome that negative psychology and to replace it with a good, healthy psychology is you have to apply the right teaching techniques, which is what I call pedagogy, and then equally important, the right content. Now, how is that going to affect you and your student if we decide to work together in teaching your student math in these tutorials? Well, here's what I'm going to suggest that you should do. I think every student should do this once they get past the elementary level. We need to give your child, your student, a foundation in mathematics that will help them get their psychology straightened out right and give them confidence in their ability to learn math, to get them to where they enjoy learning math. And we do this by teaching them what I call practical math. And this is a really good way for anybody to get grounded in math and then go on into more advanced topics. Now, the way I'm going to recommend that we do that with a series of tutorials is, in addition to the tutorials that I'm going to give your student, I'm going to utilize a lot of video lessons that I've already prepared and that are available, so that actually when your student takes a tutorial, they're really going to get a lot more than just a 30-minute or a 1-hour tutorial. They're going to get a lot of material then that they're going to be able to go through in a self-paced basis. These are going to be videos that are delivered via the internet, and they're going to be able to watch these videos on a topic, and once they've watched the video, they're going to be given problems to do. I'm going to give you a PDF for that topic with problems and with solutions to those problems, and then there's going to be an online quiz they can take to verify that they've learned the material. Now, this is the method that we're going to use when we teach mathematics. We're going to use self-paced interactive videos with appropriate problems and then follow-up quizzes, online quizzes to verify and let the student verify they've learned the material. What I'll do in my tutorials is I will assign some of these videos to them, some of these lessons, and then I will have them, after they've done the lessons, we'll have another tutorial to verify they've done it, answer any questions they have, and move on to the next set. Now, actually, this practical math foundation is designed to take most students about 3 months to go through. And it starts off by teaching them how to use a critical power tool today if you're going to then learn to do algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. And this power tool is a calculator. It's a scientific calculator. The one we use in our program is called the TI 30XA. And it is a wonderful calculator, and it costs about $10, and it's going to eliminate all of the drudgery of calculations that have been so burdensome in the past in teaching mathematics to students, so they can really focus on learning the concepts and learning how to solve problems. There are actually 16 lessons on how to use this calculator, And once a student has gone through, they'll be very familiar with a calculator and very capable of using it. And really, it's multiple power tools is what it is, and it's just going to make the learning of math so much easier and more pleasant. Then we're going to have some lessons on what we'll call pre-algebra. This is really going to be, in essence, a review of things they've probably learned at the elementary school level, but we want to be sure that they really understand the real number system and positive and negative numbers and rules of addition and multiplication and the various things that you need to know about numbers in order to go on in math. This doesn't take very long for most students to go through, and it's pretty much a review for most students. These two topics, learning how to use the calculator and pre-algebra, begin to develop enthusiasm and confidence in the student. And then we go into algebra. Now, you're going to probably be pretty surprised to see that we only have 14 lessons in algebra that we're going to cover in this foundation course. That's much less than is covered in a typical high school algebra course. But what it is, it's the algebra you need to solve practical problems. So they're going to see the value of it as they begin to solve problems. And it doesn't take very long for them to go through these 14 lessons. As I said, each one is a video they watch, maybe more than once, maybe several times, and they do a set of problems. They'll be given a problem set. This is the, well, first of all, they'll be given notes to go with the videos. This is the notebook that goes with all of the, each lesson has its own set of notes. And then after they study the lesson, watch the video, and have the notes, then they'll be given problems to solve. And these problems then, of course, they'll be given the answers to the problems so that they can be sure that they're understanding the material. Once they have done the problems, they'll be given an online quiz, and that will verify to them and to everybody concerned that they've mastered that material and they're ready to move to the next. Learning math is like climbing a ladder. You want to learn it one step at a time, and you don't want to skip things. Now, once they've done algebra, they're then going to go into something that is just fascinating for almost all students, and it is geometry. And geometry is where you learn to deal with all the various things that you come against in what I call practical math. Triangles and rectangles and circles and cones and spheres, and how to calculate areas and lengths and volumes and all of that sort of thing. And that is what they're going to learn in 20 lessons in geometry. And I might tell you that for most problems, they're going to be using a combination of algebra and geometry together. These subjects really work together hand in hand, and it's a rare problem where you don't actually use both of them together. And it turns out that the most important of all geometric figures is a triangle for technical reasons that they'll be learning. And it turns out that you cannot solve all the triangle problems you might need to solve with just algebra and geometry. You need an additional subject called trigonometry. And so we then have a trigonometry session, which is 8 lessons. And when they get done with trigonometry, they will then know how to do any kind of a triangle problem they'll ever run into. This entire program, which I call the Foundation, Practical Math Foundation, takes most students about 3 months to go through. And the way it'll work in our tutoring environment is I will have periodic Skype tutorials with your student where I will discuss certain topics with them, and then I will assign them lessons to do that are already prepared so they can take their time, go through them in an interactive, self-paced way, work the problems, do the quizzes, and then we'll have an additional follow-up tutorial lesson on that, and then they'll do the next set of assignments. Now, as a matter of fact, some students can go through this entire foundation program without any tutorials at all because it really is self-contained and self-paced and complete. And as you'll learn on our website, you could actually buy this program as a standalone program for $77. And so for less than $100, you're going to buy the calculator for $10. So for less than $100, you can actually give your student a fantastic practical math foundation program. And as I point out in my book, if they go through that program, they will know more mathematics than 95% of the adults in the United States. They will be ready to go to most technical schools and pursue non-professional technical careers in many, many fields. And that, by the way, is the key today to getting a job to earn a really, really good living. Now, you may say, well, how does this compare to a standard high school curriculum? And the answer is there's really no comparison at all. What happens in a standard high school curriculum, first of all, is they tend to de-emphasize using power tools, and they tend to stick to more manual calculations, which I believe is a big mistake. And then they'll spend a lot of time on many, many topics in pre-algebra. And then they'll have another, perhaps a whole year on algebra or 2 years on it, and then a year on geometry. And as a matter of fact, in one of the videos that I discuss, I talk about the standard math curriculum and what it does, and just covering pre-algebra and geometry and algebra. This turns out to be 16 pages of topics. And I will tell you right now that many of these topics are presented very prematurely for students that are just getting started in mathematics. And so you don't really need a lot of this stuff for practical math. Now, if your student wants to go on into engineering and science, or perhaps math itself, then they'll need to go beyond the foundation. And in fact, I talk about that in my book. I tell you what I believe is the ideal curriculum going beyond the foundation course. And in fact, I have in chapter 5, I have a modern 21st century math curriculum, and it consists of 10 tiers of programs, and the foundation is just the first 2 tiers. Now, as a matter of fact, the last 4 tiers are for future professional mathematicians. So there's really 6 tiers that will get your child ready for engineering and science in college. And all of that's discussed in great detail in this book. You can get this book at our website. You can buy it on Amazon in a Kindle form. You can buy the book itself. And in fact, I have a PDF version of this book on a CD that I can send you, and you can get it for free at our website just by paying shipping and handling. And if we do get together and you decide to use my services as a tutor, then I'm going to be sure that you get a copy of that so that you'll know exactly why we're doing what we're doing, the reasons behind it, and so forth. Now, will this help your student in a course they're currently taking? And the answer to that is probably not too much, because many of the topics they're going to be currently covering in a standard course will not be covered in the foundation. This is a great foundation. It's a great background for them. It really gets them started. It gets their psychology right. But it doesn't cover a lot of the topics they'll be covering in a typical algebra or geometry course in typical high school today. However, once they've gone through this, they're going to be much better prepared then to tackle such a course and probably do better in it. I might add, we have those courses in the upper tiers that we recommend, and we have a certain way of approaching them that we recommend, but I'm not going to talk about that on this video. What the goal will be, if it's going to work for your student, is to get your student started in math and get them a good foundation. Now, if you think this is something that might work for your student, then I want you to call Debbie Goodman, which at the number that's given in the email and on this web page, and talk to her about it, and she will answer questions you might have and talk about the details of how you might set it up. And then if you both agree that it might be a fit, then she'll arrange a session with me and you and your student. It'll be a Skype session, and it will be free. It won't cost you anything, because we want to get acquainted and be sure that what we're going to do is going to be good for your student. And indeed, if after that session I don't believe that I can really help your student, I'll tell you so, and we won't do it together. Obviously, if you don't think it'll help, you're not going to do it. But we both have to believe that it'll work, and then we have to go forward and make it work. Your student is going to have to be willing to put some effort into this. Math is not learned by osmosis. It's a contact sport that your student's going to learn by doing. But I find most students really get a big kick out of doing math once they find they can do it successfully and demonstrate it through these quizzes they'll be taking. And I think I've had many students that thought they weren't any good at math, they didn't like math, and once they start going through this, they find out, well, hey, I can do this. This is really quite easy, and it's fun, in fact. And then they begin to see how practical it is and how it's going to help them in many of the things they may do in their life, and it really turns them around. So if you think this might be for you, contact Debbie Goodman and talk to her about it, and then we'll go forward from there, and I'll have an interview with you if the two of you think that it's appropriate. And we'll do it by Skype, of course. I do everything by Skype these days. It's so easy to do. We can schedule things at our mutual convenience, And I might add I can record the sessions if need be, so that you can review them later if you'd like, and we'll go forward from there. In any event, whether we get together or not, I hope that you find some way of helping your student gain the knowledge and math they need, because it is so important today in the modern world we live in. This is Dr. Dell. I wish you the best in the future, and who knows, maybe we'll get together and do some things together.